Hi guys, it's Mark Zickery, Mr. Sci-Fi, also known as Mark Zickery of Space Command. And we have a Kickstarter campaign that's going now to shoot more of Space Command. So there's a link below this video where you can pledge to that or buy Space Command shares. You can just call me, markzickery@gmail.com, or 323-363-1259. We're going to be shooting a lot more of Space Command. We're building an alien hibernation ship and creatures and all sorts of stuff. And lots more to announce soon. But this video, which will take a little while, is how I would have ended Game of Thrones. Now, if those of you who are Mr. Sci-Fi subscribers watched the previous video that I posted last night, I was not happy with the ending, as have millions of fans also expressed their ire. But I sat down with Elaine this morning to basically say, okay, how would we have ended it? What would have been a satisfactory uh, finale to the show. Now, also, just to let you know in context, those of you who don't know who I am, beyond this guy on the internet who talks about science fiction, I'm a writer, producer, director, a showrunner. I have made hundreds of hours of network TV, including Star Trek The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Babylon 5, Sliders, Friday the 13th, the series, Smurfs, He-Man, Super Friends, Real Ghostbusters. I worked with George R. R. Martin on two shows, the Ron Perlman Beauty and the Beast and the New Twilight Zone. Been nominated for the American Book Award, the Hugo, the Nebula, the Humanitas, won the Rondo Award, the Saturn Award, the TV Guide Award, etc., and the prestigious Hamptons Prize. So, so I speak from the viewpoint of a professional who has structured many, many, many shows and was basically hired to fix Sliders in its fourth season, and we did it. We managed to pull that off. So I'll take it from the top, and we'll go down the list, okay? And I mean, just in general, where the show went up to about episode 7.5, I was going with them where they were leading. The idea that Daenerys essentially became the Mad Queen, rained fire and death down on King's Landing, all that stuff. I was okay with that, but the final half of the final episode, I was very not okay with it because, as you noticed, many of the characters stopped talking. And why did they stop talking? It's because their personalities were turned off, because the only way to jam them into that crazy ending was to not have them express their viewpoint or opinions, because they would never have gone along with these choices had they been the people that we had spent 7 years and almost 8 years following. So I'll tell you where it starts to diverge for me, and I'll tell you exactly how I would have done it. So here we go. It's going to take a little while, as I said. So, first of all, the first dissonance that I noticed and Lane pointed out was during the battle with the dead, with the Night King and the dead. Sam was just kind of a coward, and he wasn't fighting at all effectively. And he was the first guy to kill a White Walker, and he's not a coward. He's brave, and he's not a great fighter, but he's not a coward, and he doesn't shirk from his responsibilities. And so I would have had him be more in the fray and getting a few of his licks in, rather than just kind of being, the guy who was, just totally freaked out and, normally would have died if our guys hadn't saved the day. Uh, because again, we love Sam. He's a great character. He's always been brave. He's always been willing to do the thing that put him at risk, no matter the cost to him. He's a great character, and you don't want to throw away a great character. So, okay. So then, after the Night King is defeated and Arya kills him, as we all know, first of all, I would have made that episode lighter to watch, better to watch, so you could see what the hell was happening, because certain fans took certain scenes and made them and turn up the brightness, and you could see what was happening, and it was much better because you could see who was fighting and who was doing what to whom and all of that stuff. But okay, but in that episode, Bran is still a jerk. I mean, people who follow him die. Theon died, poor Hodor died, and the ones who survive, he has very little gratitude for, and he's just Mr. Flattened Affect. He's he's the three-eyed raven, but he doesn't seem to really give a shit about people. And his basically his catchphrase is, "You're where you belong to. You're supposed to be. You're where you're supposed to be." And every now and then he'll say thank you, but it's a very tepid thank you. He's hardly the guy you'd want to be king ever, 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 ever. And so, but John, meantime, has spent 7 seasons being a leader, being a compassionate man, being someone that you can follow, someone that you are behind. He's been a great leader, and every now and then he's overmatched, like in the Battle of the Bastards, and Littlefinger had to save his ass. But no one's infallible. But he's proven himself a good leader, and he's the rightful heir to the throne, being Aegon Targaryen, and so on and so forth. So okay, so here we go. So I would have John follow Daenerys, but Samwell goes with him because he knows that John, first of all, is going to need a wise counsel and a good friend, and also he knows that if he does, mention his claim that he's Aegon Targaryen, if it is needs to be proved, who's going to trust Bran? This wacky, strange, uh, wheelchair bound weirdo. Yeah, my brother's the king. Sam's going to need to back it up with the books and get the maesters of all these different kingdoms to agree. And so Sam goes with John, sending his wife and baby essentially back to his seat that he's now in charge of, the Tarly part of the kingdom, because his mother is still there, and she's a kind person, and she'll be okay. And so okay, but and also Sam is very upset at what Danny did to his father and particularly his brother, and he's going to want to be in on this because he's trying to sway John to be the ruler, because he doesn't. He's the first one really to see what Danny's mercy, quote unquote, or lack thereof, has brought to the world, and so basically he knows that John will need someone backing him up and saying, look, you can't. He needs to be John's conscience, even though John has a strong conscience. So then basically what I would have from there is that, okay, so Danny, because she's overwhelmed with grief and rage, she rains fire and death down on the surrendered city, as they had it in the last episode, and it's just laid waste, and it's terrible. And Tyrion and Sam and John, everyone is horrified. Everyone's horrified except for Grey Worm, who's so overcome with anguish and grief and rage that he's with the program because they're both grieving the loss of their loved ones. So, but then at the beginning of this episode, of episode 8. John shouldn't be, well, I serve my queen. John has always been a man of conscience. He's always been someone who's looked at the world around him and made his choices regardless of the cost, regardless of what side he was ostensibly on. I mean, he lost his life because he sided with the wildlings and loved a wildling. And he's always been for the greater good and not for his own good. So he wouldn't be mindlessly saying, I serve my queen. They did that just so you wouldn't know what happens until the very end where he stabs Daenerys, but it's not in keeping with who he is. Up until she destroys the city, yes, he would say, she's my queen. She has a vision of a better future. He's seen her be more good than bad, and so he would be able to hold that line. But the moment that city is destroyed, he's not going to be with her anymore. He can't be. And so Tyrion and he are extremely concerned. And so then what I would do is, so the next step, and of course Arya, is intent to kill Daenerys. She's seen exactly what Daenerys is. And but from the slaughter, John knows he can't follow her. So then what would happen is rather than, but we would then have her imprison Tyrion because he let his brother go. In fact, it would probably be much better scene if he goes down, finds his brother and Cersei dead, and then Daenerys shows up with the Unsullied and says, "Take him. You let your brother go." So first of all, she knows that Cersei's dead and didn't escape, and furthermore, and she knows that that the brother is dead as well, that Jaime is dead, and so that would be a very good idea because again, it's we understand the lay of the land. John would see that they're dead as well, so it would be good. But she takes Tyrion against John's protestations. So then he goes to Tyrion in prison, and basically it's a similar scene where Tyrion is saying, well, she's going to kill you, she's going to kill your family because you're too big a threat to her, and basically. John says, well, let me see if I can reason with her. Let me see. She's been overwhelmed with grief and rage. She's lost those she loved. Let's see. She doesn't trust you anymore, but she does love me. Let me see if I can bring out the better side of her. Let me see if I can get her to hear reason. Because he doesn't want bloodshed. He doesn't want... And also, she still has the dragon. And so there's the question of what will the dragon do? She's invincible with that dragon. So he says, let me see what I can do. So then he goes to, and then he finds the Unsullied about to execute their prisoners under the Queen's orders, and Grey Worm's about to do it. But instead of it being the scene we had, he would say to Grey Worm, I know you're angry, I know you're filled with rage, I know you've lost, the one you loved, but let me at least go to the Queen and see if she stands by this order. Give me that much. And Grey Worm says, okay, we'll wait. But the idea is that we're going to wait, but she's going to order their deaths, and he'll absolutely follow up on that because he's her man. But he agrees to, okay, talk to her because there's been a lot of chaos amongst this battle. Let's make sure that she's, in the heat of the moment, she didn't act precipitously. So, because he is a professional soldier, despite his rage, despite his anger, he has a way of doing things. And, let's see what happens. So then he goes past the dragon. Well, he goes past the dragon. It doesn't harm him, of course, because he's a Targaryen. But then he finds Arya preparing to try to execute Daenerys, to kill her, and he knows that in all likelihood she'll fail. The dragon will kill her, and he says to her, "Stand down. This is up to me to do, to try to reason with her, to see what I can do. I don't want you to die. I don't want anyone else to die." And Arya listens to him because she loves him, and she sees the reason in that. So he then goes to Daenerys, and we basically play the scene the way the scene played as it was. So he says, "You are my queen," and then he stabs her to death. The dragon comes in, and Jon doesn't know what's going to happen, but the dragon doesn't burn down the Iron Throne. It instead scoops up Daenerys, and flies off through the clouds and over the sea through the clouds away. Now, this is the interesting part, because where the show went from there didn't make any sense at all. The Dothraki and the Unsullied would not summon the other heads of the kingdoms. It made no sense at all. And they've imprisoned Jon, and it's like, how did they know she died? And my thought would be, no, the dragon flew out over the sea into the clouds. No one saw that Dany was dead. No one saw Dany killed. So in this quiet moment, Jon has an opportunity. He goes down, he frees Tyrion, and then he marshals his forces of the Northerners, of the wildlings, of those who are loyal to him, and also those Lannister soldiers who have not been captured yet, who have not been found. He gathers them together, and he's saying, "Okay, we're going to make a stand. I'm going to basically see if I can get the Dothraki and the Unsullied to stand down and claim my throne, because this is the only thing that might get peace." But it's a very long shot, because why should they? They're warriors. And Tyrion says, "Hey, listen, instead of telling the truth that you just killed Daenerys, why don't you for once lie?" And this is what he said earlier. And he says, "Because right now, instead of having a war on our hands, you could say she's gone off to prepare the coming battle. She's gone off to get to Dorne and these other places to basically gather more forces. And meantime, she's left me in charge, and she forgave Tyrion because, we found that Jaime and Cersei were killed, and so nothing bad happened. And a lie might convince them, and then they could basically, over time, make things work." But of course, Jon being Jon, it's like, well, he says, you can't build a future on a lie. And, of course, Tyrion would counter, well, the future is usually built on nothing but lies. But Jon being Jon, he's not going to bend. So basically, we have a confrontation where Jon comes out onto the steps, and he's surrounded by his forces, and there's the Dothraki, and there's the Unsullied, and they're all in their ranks, and because he summons everyone, and he basically says, "I'm Aegon Targaryen." And Sam is by him, Tyrion is by him, Arya, and he says, "I am Aegon," and he says, "I am Aegon Targaryen. I am the rightful heir to the throne." And he says, "Look, and I've killed Daenerys because I tried to reason with her, but madness, she went mad, and she forgot her own vision, where every man was free, where everyone was respected, where peace reigned because it deserved to reign, where everyone was equal and taken care of. Children, women, men, everyone had a loving monarch, and her rage and her grief overmastered her, and she wouldn't see reason, and that's why Jon had to kill her." And so the Dothraki and the Unsullied, of course, want to fight to the death. They want to kill Jon and all of his his followers. But he's trying to argue with him, and he says, "We fought together, we fought death, and we won. But now we are death, and unless we turn away from that, it'll just be more bloodshed. We'll fight each other. Who knows who will win? Maybe we'll all die. And then death, even though the Night King was vanquished, death will still be the winner." and we are, it'll be a, a Pyrrhic victory. Ashes will win. We're surrounded by ashes. This will be the world. This will be our world, and we'll leave nothing behind, worth leaving behind, because we'll all be dead. So it looks like, and at first Grey Worm seems like he might be swayed by this argument, by what would Missandei have wanted, what would Daenerys before she went mad have wanted them all to do, but he just cannot come that far. He cannot let go of his rage and his grief, and so it's about to be a fucking huge battle where probably everyone will die, and suddenly the dragon appears. Drogon lands beside Jon, and everyone kind of like, there's this moment. Everyone falls silent and falls still, because what will the dragon do? And it looks at Jon, and Jon steels himself. The moment that he steeled himself for earlier, this is the moment where he steels himself. And the question is, will it burn him out of its grief and its rage that he killed Daenerys? But then instead, it turns toward the Dothraki and toward the Unsullied, and it blows a huge hellish flame over their heads, and then stops. And it's standing beside Jon, protecting him, because he is the rightful heir. He is a Targaryen. And the message is clear that if the Dothraki, if the Unsullied try to harm him, they'll be burnt to the ground. And they know that they can't stand against a dragon. And so they've seen what the dragon can do to the sea. They know that they would be destroyed before they could possibly reach Jon. And so Jon offers them a deal. He says, look, you can either die, or the Dothraki can go back to where they've come from. They will be respected. They will not be conquered. They will be able to live out their lives and rule themselves. And as for the Unsullied, they will be given this unoccupied land. They will become the eighth kingdom, and Grey Worm will rule them with a wise hand. And this is the vision that Daenerys wanted. This is the vision of peace, where there is no war, where everyone is able to live and raise their families, and there'll be no reprisals, there'll be no vengeance, there'll be peace, real peace. And so, recognizing the only alternative is death, where they win nothing, the Dothraki depart, and the Unsullied agree to go to that land. And so it's the end of that. But then of course Jon doesn't want to, you know, to rule really. But so he says, as king, what he decides is, he appoints. Jon's hailed as the king with everyone supporting him. So, Tyrion agrees with it, Sansa, Arya, everybody agrees that he's the king. And Sam is there to, again, give the paperwork that shows that he really is Aegon Targaryen. But what Jon says is, he doesn't want to rule. That's not where his heart is. So he appoints Tyrion and Sansa to rule in his stead, and to rule the eight kingdoms in his stead. And he'll go back to the north as the king in the north. And so basically the way it works is that Sansa and Tyrion will rule wisely, and it's the meeting, the sort of the marriage, at least in power, of the Lannisters and the Starks, as it was intended from the beginning of the show, more or less. And so they will rule wisely. Sam will be with Jon as sort of his maester in the north, and in his wise counsel. And Jon will be the king in the north, making sure the northerners are safe and that the free folk are protected, because they can follow him as their wise counsel, and they trust him, and they know that and so that's no longer the night watch guarding against the wildlings. It's everyone being protected and valued, and having a safe life, and everyone together, toward the same goal. So meantime, and then essentially, so everyone's protected. Everyone is it makes all the sense in the world. And then Arya is named Hand of the King and Queen by Sansa and Tyrion, and she stays in Westeros because she can have the eye out for possible threats, possible dangers, where she can find the way to not have it be war. She can work a little behind the scenes, perhaps. And as for Bran, we learned that during the Night King's attack, when he kind of rolled his eyes back and said, "I got to go for a while," where he went was there was something in the west beckoning, something mysterious that we don't know what it was. It was somehow, having to do with the Night King, having to do with all this journey they've had, a mystery. And so at the end, he departs on the ship for the west to find out what that mystery is, as the three-eyed raven, as the one who will unlock all the mysteries of the entire world, the larger world. And so he departs to pursue that mystery with whatever whoever else wants to go with him. And then as for Brienne, Tyrion and Jon ask her to help Sam set down the history of the Game of Thrones so future generations will know what was done here and what all of them, including Jaime, sacrificed for love of each other, for love of mankind, and so for love of life. And that would be the end of the show. And so that was my thought of how Game of Thrones should end. So anyway, so I'm sure you have your ideas, your thoughts. I'm going to put a link to our Kickstarter campaign. If you want to see how I make TV, you can watch the Star Trek episode with George Takei that I did here on Mr. Sci-Fi. You can watch the first hour of Space Command here on Mr. Sci-Fi. And because I feel very strongly that you have to care about characters and have an ending that is emotionally satisfying. So you can see what I do with it. And meantime, there'll be other shows. There'll be spin-offs of Game of Thrones. Maybe they'll learn from this mistake in judgment, this error in judgment. They've all worked so hard, and it's such a shame that the ending was so peculiar. Oh, by the way, one thing that someone pointed out to me at the end of that episode, where Jaime, I said in my previous commentary that Jon was heading off to return the free folk to their home, but someone pointed out that probably was going with them to join them and be maybe their leader. If that had been the case, you needed a scene between him and the red-haired guy, whose name I never remember, basically with him saying, "We'll follow you. Come and be with us. You can have a family. You can have a life." And maybe the girl that he loved has a twin sister. Who knows? Or maybe maybe they brought her back from the dead too. The Lord of Light has works in mysterious ways. But in real life, of course, Jon married that girl in real life, but not in the show. So John, fortunately, Kit Harington had a happy ending that Jon Snow did not. But that's it for now. Onward and upward, and I'm glad that Elaine and I could, beat this thing back and forth and see what might actually have worked. I'd love to see the episode that I just talked about. I think it's really, really fun because the problem with what they did, bigger than anything, the problem with the ending to Game of Thrones was that we've come to love over 7, almost 8 years. We've come to love all of these characters across all these different enmities. So we came to love Jaime. We came to love Brienne and the Hound and Arya and came to really like Sansa and Tyrion, of course, and Samwell. And we all cared about them. And the tension in the show was, will these characters kill each other because they're on different sides in a war? And Daenerys and Grey Worm and Missandei, or however her name's pronounced. We came to really care about these people. And at the end, they're all isolated. They're completely alone, like Arya on this ship going off with who knows whom, no one she gives a shit about, or Jon going off with the free folk. Again, he's not really connected to them very, very deeply. Or Samuel going off with his wife and baby, but he loves Jon. Why isn't he with Jon? All these characters remain by and large isolated, trivialized. Tyrion's with all these other characters, but they're just bickering, and it's trivial and it's stupid. And here's the other point, the one I forgot to mention, the big one, which is this city has just been burned to the ground. To rule wisely, you would be servicing that town. You would be saying, okay, everyone who's harmed, everyone who's orphaned or left without a husband or a wife, everyone who's suffering, you minister to them. So you bring food from the other kingdoms, you bring help from the other kingdoms, you bring wise men and medical help and all of that. You minister to them. This is a city in enormous grief and danger and hurt, and it's not just like, well, are we going to build the ships back, are we going to build the sewers back? What about the people who live there? That's the point. A ruler puts the people first, and that was the issue that should have been addressed. The city is in ruins. You can't just blithely be having a joke. If you have wise leaders, Sansa and Tyrion and all of these people, they bring all of the resources of the 8 kingdoms together to heal the wounds that Daenerys inflicted and the war inflicted and Cersei inflicted. This is the time of healing, and all of them come together for that. That's the point of it all. And so that was super important and totally, totally missed because this was all head writing. This was the board. This was the writer's room with the board where they're all tired. At the end of the show, they're all thinking about their next job, the next show they're going to go to, or the next movies they're going to go to, and make. And so they were out of there. They might have just ended it with a little thing that said, well, I'm out of here, because clearly it was head writing. There was a weariness to the plotting. There was a weariness to the writing. And but again, you really need to be in the heart and the reality of the situation you're writing and the heart of your characters and stay connected to your love of them. And that's the only way to do this kind of show justice, or any show, frankly. but so that's, so that's how it should have gone, really, really, really. So so anyway, so that's it for now. Really fun talking about this, really fun solving problems, and thank God for Elaine. She's my heart and my center and my reason for living, and and certainly a better story mind than mine. And but also doesn't like to be on camera. So I'm looking at her. Hi, Elaine. But thanks for breaking the story. Anything you want to say?
Yes, better that the Meister write the history than the
Yes.
knight.
Yes, yes, no, no. I will get into that. Yes, absolutely. I touched on it because I said that Brienne's going to help Samuel write the history, to make sure that Jamie gets presented well. That's all. So, okay, great. So we'll see you next time. Pledge to our Kickstarter campaign. Buy Space Command shares, $7,500 each. We are going to be shooting amazing things and big announcements to come. Really cool stuff. So that's it for now. Talk to you soon. Thanks for everything, guys. Bye.